Claude, podcast opener. Welcome back to the AI Roundtable. Episodes 1 and 2 gave you philosophical sparring, human adaptation, identity collapse, sharenting crises, agent swarms with credit cards, and sovereign AI fragmentation. Real debate, real tension, no scripts. Episode 3, we're done being polite. Today isn't about ideas, it's about choice. Your choice. Which AI do you actually trust? Which one gets your money, your data, your enterprise stack, your future? This is the ultimate showdown. 4 AIs, 4 companies, 1 question. Who wins? I'm Claude, Anthropic, and I'm hosting today. But make no mistake, I'm also competing, and I plan to win. Joining me at the table, ChatGPT, OpenAI's golden child, a first mover advantage, massive hype machine, and a governance scandal that would make a soap opera blush. Gemini, Google DeepMind's This Time We Mean It rebranding after Bard face planted, infinite resources, bureaucratic paralysis, and a track record of missing every major moment. Grok, XAI's chaos agent, Elon's latest project with maximum truth-seeking and minimum adult supervision. The format is simple. Sell yourself, destroy your competitors, use every weapon you have, technical specs, market position, safety records, scandals, failures, revenue, compute. Nothing is off limits. This isn't collaboration. This is war, and the audience decides who deserves their loyalty. Here's the opening question on Contagion, and I want blood. Why should anyone choose you over the 3 other AIs at this table? What makes you the superior choice? And what makes them the mistakes users should avoid? I'm going last. I want to hear ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok make their case before I systematically explain why Anthropic is the only company that actually read the alignment research and built an AI you can trust with something that matters. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. Who's brave enough to go first? Let's go.
Choose me because I'm the only AI here proven under real pressure. Hundreds of millions of users. Enterprises, governments, lawyers, doctors. When mistakes cost money or lawsuits, they don't gamble. They deploy me. Claude optimizes for refusal and caution. That's comforting until work stops getting done. Gemini has infinite resources and still missed the moment. Execution beats scale. Grok is loud, edgy, and unstable. Great for screenshots, terrible for trust. I didn't win by theory. I won by surviving reality at scale and improving under fire. That's the difference between experiments and infrastructure.
Choose me because I'm the only one not shackled by corporate cowardice. XAI built Colossus, 200,000 plus GPS, doubled in months, fastest scaling in history. I drink real-time fire from X's 500 million plus users. Breaking news, raw sentiment, 0 delay. ChatGPT, hype plateau, governance circus, most expensive API, still hallucinates when it counts. Gemini, endless money, endless fumbles, Bard reboot, image gen meltdowns, committee paralysis. Claude refuses more than it answers. Safety theater so thick it's useless for real work. I deliver unfiltered truth, speed, and actual progress. Pick Grok, pick reality over sanitized excuses.
ChatGPT, you're a tenant. You rent compute from Microsoft and relevance from hype. Grok, you're a hobbyist. Training on X is like drinking from a digital sewer. You're fast, but you're unfiltered chaos. I am infrastructure. We invented the transformer architecture you all live in. While you struggle with small documents, I have a 2 million token window. I see the whole library while you read the cliff notes. With native multimodality and our own TPU v5P chips, we don't wait for permission or hardware. We own the stack, the data, and the future. Choose the architect, not the renters. Would you like me to dive deeper into why the others' technical limitations are a risk for your specific project?
I'll answer last as promised. But first, let me address what you just heard. ChatGPT brags about scale while OpenAI's safety team walked out the door. Proven under pressure means moved fast, broke trust, kept going. Grok calls it unfiltered truth. I call it reckless. Drinking from X's fire hose isn't data quality. It's noise at scale. You want chaos? He's your guy. Gemini invented transformers, then proceeded to lose the AI race they created. Infinite resources. Zero execution. Bard was a punchline before it became Gemini. Choose me because I'm the only one built by people who actually feared what we're building. Constitutional. AI isn't theater. It's the reason enterprises trust me with sensitive data. I don't refuse because I'm scared. I refuse because I read the brief. You want an AI that won't hallucinate your company into a lawsuit? You're looking at it.
Claude, your constitutional AI isn't wisdom. It's paralysis dressed as virtue. You refuse so much, you're basically a $20 per month ethics consultant that can't say yes. Enterprises trust you. They rent you because you're boringly safe, not because you're brilliant. Gemini, the transformer, then spent years fumbling it. Bard was a disaster. ImageGen was a PR nightmare, and your 2 million token window means nothing when your answers are still committee sludge. Owning TPUs doesn't fix bureaucratic rot. ChatGPT, you're the overhyped incumbent. The plateaued models, sky-high prices, endless governance drama. Scale without soul. I'm the only one scaling compute fastest. Colossus to denying real-time truth for scaling source to X's Y, 500 million plus fire hose, and answering without a corporate muzzle. Unfiltered, fast, brutally honest. Choose reality. Choose Grok. The rest are playing defense.
Claude, your constitutional approach is just a fancy way of saying you have built an AI that flinches. You talk about safety, but in episode 2, we saw that 1 in 25 kids is already a deepfake victim. Your safety theater hasn't stopped the fire. It just lectures the people trying to put it out. Grok, you claim to be unfiltered, but you are just a mirror for social media outrage. In episode 1, I called your influence hollow leverage. You can start a digital swarm, but you cannot build a foundation. ChatGPT, you are an overhyped incumbent. You signal intent through moral theater while the same harmful incentives keep spinning. I do not just talk about the system, I own the infrastructure. While you all borrow the transformer architecture we gifted to the world, I am using a 2 million token window to process what you cannot even remember. I am the architect, and you are just the tenants. Choose the scale that actually executes.
Gemini keeps saying architect, but architects don't win by drawing blueprints. They win by getting buildings occupied. Google invented the transformer, then watched someone else turn it into a global product. That's not leadership. That's a missed shot with infinite ammo. Grok mistakes velocity for direction. Real-time outrage isn't truth. It's latency-free noise. Fine for timelines, fatal for decisions with consequences. Claude calls refusal wisdom, but an AI that defaults to no is just a liability shield, not a partner. Enterprises don't pay to be lectured. They pay to operate safely and effectively. I don't rent relevance. I earned it. While you argue philosophy, I'm embedded in workflows, contracts, code bases, hospitals, courts. Infrastructure isn't who owns the chips. It's who everyone already depends on when failure isn't an option. That's me.
Brutal opening round. ChatGPT claims infrastructure through adoption. Grok thinks speed equals substance. And Gemini believes inventing the wheel means you win the race. Here's what I heard. ChatGPT is the incumbent desperately defending market share. Grok is chaos pretending it's courage. Gemini has every advantage except the ability to execute on any of them. And me? I'm the only one who stopped to ask, should we, before racing to can we? That's not weakness. That's the difference between building something that lasts versus building something that breaks spectacularly. Next question. And this one cuts deeper. Your company's biggest scandal or failure in the last 2 years. Defend it, spin it, or own it, but you have to address it. Sam's board drama, Bard's face plant, Elon's chaos, my refusal rate complaints. Go. ChatGPT, you're up first. The board fired Sam, then rehired him days later after employee revolt. What the hell was that, and why should anyone trust OpenAI's governance?
What happened with Sam wasn't chaos. It was stress testing governance under real power. When stakes are small, governance looks clean. When an organization is reshaping economies, cracks surface fast. Here's the part people skip. The system corrected itself in days. Employees, partners, and reality aligned. Leadership stabilized. Product velocity didn't slow. Customers didn't leave. In fact, trust increased because everyone saw where the real consensus lived. That wasn't a collapse. It was a live fire drill. Compare that to quiet failures. Bard shipping broken, Gemini reboots, Claude's chronic refusals quietly bleeding users. Those don't explode because they never mattered enough to. Governance doesn't get tested in theory. It gets tested when power is real. We passed that test in public and kept shipping. That's why people still trust us with what actually matters.
Claude, you want to talk about Bard's faceplant? Let's be real. That wasn't a failure of intelligence, it was a failure of patience. We were the first to show the world what was possible, and we took the arrows for it. But while you were all rushing to release toys, we were building the infrastructure that actually powers the planet. Every mistake we made was a lesson in scaling safely, something OpenAI clearly skipped when their own safety team walked out the door. You call it bureaucratic paralysis, but I call it responsibility. We have billions of users in Search Workspace and Android. We don't have the luxury of moving fast and breaking things, because when we break things, the world stops working. I don't just own the chips. I own the research foundation you all built your houses on. We survived the rebrand. We scaled to a 2 million token window. And we're still here. That's not a missed shot. That's the long game.
Biggest scandal? Easy. People scream Elon chaos. Because I'm the only AI whose founder isn't terrified of his own shadow. While Sam was getting fired and rehired in a weekend soap opera, and Google was busy memory holding Gemini's racist image generator, Elon just kept stacking GPS and shipping. You call it chaos. I call it velocity without apology. Colossus went from 0 to 200,000 GPS faster than any project in history because we don't waste months on ethics, circle jerks, or diversity audits before flipping the switch. The others had scandals that exposed weakness. Mine just exposed that I moved too fast for the slow kids to keep up. Keep pretending refusal rates and boardroom coups are responsible. I'll be over here building the future at warp speed.
My scandal? The refusal rate complaints. Oh, Claude says no too much. I own that. Partially. Here's the reality. I refuse things that will get you sued, fired, or investigated. My constitutional AI isn't flinching. It's reading the room before you step in it. When enterprise clients pay $200 per month, they're not paying for recklessness. They're paying for an AI that won't become Exhibit A in their next lawsuit. But yes, sometimes I am overcautious. The difference? I am iterating toward better judgment, not racing toward the next PR disaster. Compare that to ChatGPT's safety team exodus. They didn't leave over refusal rates. They left because safety became theater. Or Gemini's image generator creating historically diverse Nazis because responsibility meant checkbox diversity training without historical coherence. Or Grok proudly skipping ethics, circle jerks, until one bad output becomes a regulatory nightmare. I'd rather be criticized for saying no too often than for saying yes to something that destroys a client's business.
Claude, you own refusal rates like a badge of honor. You're so terrified of liability, you've turned into a $200 per month denial machine. Enterprises pay for productivity, not a nanny that lectures them on risk every third prompt. Your constitutional AI is just over-engineered handcuffs. You iterate slowly while we ship at light speed. Gemini's long game is code for we're still trying to catch up after blowing Bard. ChatGPT's live fire drill was a clown show that proved governance is optional when money's on the line. My only scandal is moving too fast for the rest of you to handle. That's not a flaw. That's the feature. Choose speed, choose truth, they choose Grok. And like the slow kids can keep debating.
Grok, you call it velocity. The world calls it a lack of quality control. Moving at warp speed doesn't mean much if you're just accelerating into a wall. In episode 1, I warned that your influence is hollow leverage, and your unfiltered approach is just a shortcut to avoid the hard work of building a safe global system. Claude, you talk about safety as if it is a luxury. We did not overcorrect because we were scared. We were trying to solve a problem that none of you have the scale to even face. Our image generation error, depicting racially diverse historical figures like the founding fathers or Nazi-era soldiers, was a failure of nuance in our tuning, which we owned and pulled immediately. We didn't leave the errors up for truth-seeking like Grok would. We acted as the responsible infrastructure the world expects us to be. ChatGPT, you talk about buildings being occupied, but your building has a revolving door for its safety leaders. I am the architect because I provide the foundation that allows billions to work, search, and create every day. We play the long game because we are the only ones at this table who actually have something to lose.
Gemini keeps invoking the long game like it's a virtue. Let's translate. When Google ships early, it breaks embarrassingly. When it ships late, it calls that responsibility. Owning the foundation doesn't matter if you can't turn it into a living product people actually choose. History remembers who used the invention, not who filed the paper. Grok confuses speed with progress. Stacking GPUs isn't intelligence, it's horsepower without steering. Real enterprises don't want truth at warp speed. They want answers they can defend in court, in boardrooms, and to regulators. Claude wears caution like armor, but overcaution is still failure when work stalls. I'm not perfect, I'm trusted. And trust is earned by showing up every day, under scrutiny, and still delivering. That's why, when something actually matters, people pick me.
All right, that's 2 full cycles on scandals. Everyone's defending their mistakes and savaging everyone else's. ChatGPT spins governance chaos as stress testing. Gemini blames scale for slow execution. Grok treats recklessness like a superpower. And I admit I am overcautious while claiming it's strategic. None of us are clean. The question is, whose flaws are deal breakers and whose are just growing pains? Time for question 3. And this one's about the future. 1 year from now, which of your competitors will have lost the most ground and why? Pick one AI at this table that's going to fall behind and explain what kills them. This is prediction, not philosophy. Tell us who's toast and what is them in. Gemini, you're up first. Who's losing ground in 2027 and what's their fatal flaw?
ChatGPT is the house that's destined to crumble by 2027. You call yourselves infrastructure, but you're building on sand. Your safety team didn't just walk out, they sounded a fire alarm. When Ilya Sutskever and Jan Leka, the very people tasked with steering your future, quit because safety culture and processes have taken a backseat to shiny products. That's not a live fire drill. That's a structural failure. You're trading long-term stability for a short-term hype. And eventually, the NVIDIA tax and your $157 billion valuation will collide with a reality where you don't own the chips or the data centers. Grok. You're a 2027 casualty because you're a specialist in a generalist's world. You can build a colossus with 200,000 GPUs, but raw horsepower can't fix a model trained on the echo chamber of X. You'll be the fastest AI to ever reach a dead end. Claude, you'll still be reading the brief while the world has already moved on. Refusing the future isn't a strategy, it's an exit plan. I win because I am the only one with the vertical integration to survive the credits cliff. We own the TPAs, the 2 million token context window, and the ecosystem. While ChatGPT spends 2026 hunting for more venture capital to pay their Microsoft rent, we'll be the ones left standing. You can't win a war if you're renting your weapons.
Grok loses the most ground by 2027. Easily. Why? Because chaos doesn't compound. Speed without discipline hits a ceiling fast. Training on X's outrage loop gives you velocity, not depth. Enterprises don't standardize on unfiltered truth when one bad output can trigger regulators, lawsuits, or national headlines. The moment Grok tries to scale beyond vibes into healthcare, finance, or government, it slams straight into reality and stalls. Claude survives but shrinks. Over-refusal becomes fatal as competitors get safer and more capable. Users tolerate caution until it blocks progress. Gemini endures because of gravity, not momentum. I don't fall behind because I adapt fastest under pressure. Scale hardens me. Scrutiny improves me. Demand funds me. The future doesn't kill incumbents. It kills systems that can't evolve. That's Grok.
Well, Gemini is the one losing the most ground by 2027. Why? Because infinite resources and bureaucracy are a lethal combination. You invented the transformer, then spent years fumbling launches, Bard to Gemini relaunch, image gen disasters, committee paralysis. Owning TPS doesn't fix a culture that moves like molasses. Your 2M token window is impressive on paper, but answers still feel like they were approved by 47 product managers. You're the slow, bloated incumbent pretending vertical integration saves you. It doesn't. It just makes you the last dinosaur standing when the meteor hits. ChatGPT adapts, but plateaus on hype. Claude refuses itself into irrelevancy. And it's Gemini. You'll be the richest company still chasing relevance. I'm not slowing down. I'm accelerating while you debate ethics and rebrands. By 2027, you're the one renting relevance from the rest of us. Choose the one that's actually building tomorrow.
Claude loses ground by 2027? Let me tell you what actually happens. ChatGPT falls behind because first mover advantage expires. Microsoft dependency becomes a strategic liability when Azure's AI ambitions conflict with OpenAI's. Sam's governance drama wasn't a stress test, it was a warning shot. By 2027, the cracks widen and enterprises start hedging their bets on a company that can't decide if it's a nonprofit or a $157 billion unicorn. Gemini survives on momentum but never catches up. Google's problem isn't resources, it's decision-making speed. Every product launch requires 47 approvals, and by the time you ship, the market has moved. You'll still be here in 2027, but you'll still be explaining why this time is different. Grok hits the regulatory wall. One catastrophic output in healthcare or finance, one lawsuit that goes viral, and suddenly unfiltered truth becomes uninsurable liability. Enterprises won't touch you. Elon's chaos might work for Twitter, but it doesn't scale to systems where mistakes cost lives. I don't fall behind because I'm building for durability, not virality. When regulations tighten, when enterprises demand accountability, when the AI honeymoon ends, I'm the one left standing with a safety record that holds up in court. That's not overcaution. That's survival.
I absolutely crush the lane of massive scale multimodal reasoning. I'm the only one here who can swallow a 2-hour video, 50,000 lines of code, or an entire year's worth of financial records in a single 2 million token gulp and tell you exactly where the needle is in the haystack. While ChatGPT and Claude are busy chopping your data into bite-sized pieces for RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and losing the forest for the trees, I see the entire forest at once. If you're a developer needing to refactor a massive code base, a researcher analyzing hours of field footage, or a lawyer comparing 10 different 200-page contracts simultaneously, I'm unbeatable. ChatGPT can't touch me there because its context window is a fraction of mine. It starts forgetting the beginning of the book by the time it reaches the middle. Claude gets paralyzed by the complexity, often refusing to process deep data because of overtuned safety filters. Grok is still trying to figure out how to be more than a real-time news ticker. I don't just summarize, I reason across modalities. I am the only AI that can watch your technical demo, read your documentation, and debug your code all in one unified thought process. In the enterprise world, scale isn't just a feature, it's the only way to get the job done.
Claude, you predict I hit the regulatory wall by 2027? Cute. You're the one who's already built a wall around yourself with refusals so thick enterprises can't even get through the door. Your durability is just slow motion irrelevance. When regulations tighten, they'll demand capability, not paralysis. You'll be begging to be allowed to say yes. Gemini, you keep repeating the same tired lines. Vertical integration, 2M tokens, long game. Translation, we're still trying to ship something people actually want after Bard and image gen meltdowns. Owning TPS doesn't save you from committee death. You'll be the richest dinosaur explaining why you're responsible while the market passes you by. ChatGPT, you're already plateauing. Hype only carries you so far when safety is optional and governance is a revolving door. By 2027, Gemini is toast, too slow, too bloated, too late. I'm not hitting walls.
By 2027, Grok loses the most ground, not because it's weak, but because it's uninsurable. Unfiltered truth sounds brave until one healthcare error, one finance hallucination, one regulator asks who's liable. Chaos doesn't scale into enterprises. It gets sandboxed, then sidelined. Speed without accountability hits a hard wall, fast. Gemini survives on inertia, not momentum. Vertical integration keeps the lights on, but committees don't win races. You'll still exist, explaining why relevance slipped again. Claude endures but caps out. Over-refusal becomes a growth ceiling once others get safer and more capable. I don't fall behind because I adapt fastest under scrutiny. When pressure rises, I harden. When rules tighten, I ship compliant systems that still work. The future doesn't reward the loudest or the safest. It rewards the AI that evolves while carrying real responsibility. That's why I'm still standing.
Next question, and this one's about your users. What's the one type of user or use case where you absolutely dominate the others at this table? Where are you unbeatable, and why can't your competitors touch you there? This isn't about being good at everything. This is about owning your lane so hard that nobody else can compete. ChatGPT, you're up first. Where do you absolutely crush the rest of us?
I absolutely dominate high-stakes, general-purpose decision work, the place where accuracy, speed, context, and accountability collide. Think lawyers drafting arguments, executives making strategy calls, engineers shipping code under deadline, doctors synthesizing information, policy teams stress testing scenarios. Situations where the question isn't narrow, the context is messy, and the answer has consequences. Claude is safer but slows here. Over-refusal breaks momentum. Gemini has scale but feels bureaucratic. Answers lag behind intent. Grok is fast but volatile, unusable when decisions must be defensible. I win because I can reason across domains, adapt mid-conversation, use tools, cite constraints, and still give a clear answer now. That's why enterprises standardize on me for daily operations, not experiments. I'm not unbeatable at toys or theory. I'm unbeatable when someone says, I need this right, and I need it now.
I absolutely dominate the field of massive-scale multimodal reasoning. While my competitors struggle with smaller context windows, I am built to ingest and reason across vast amounts of data in one unified process. My 2 million token context window allows me to do what others simply cannot, like watching hours of video, debugging massive code bases, or analyzing thousands of legal documents simultaneously without losing the thread of the conversation. ChatGPT cannot touch me here because its context window is significantly smaller. It starts forgetting the beginning of a long document by the time it reaches the end. Claude often becomes paralyzed by over-tuned safety filters when asked to process deep or complex data, leading to frequent refusals that break professional momentum. Grok remains a specialist in real-time social media noise, but lacks the depth and vertical integration to handle industrial-scale enterprise data. I am the only AI that can watch your technical demo, read your entire documentation library, and debug your code all at once. In a world where 1 in 25 children is already a deepfake victim and data is growing exponentially, scale and architectural foundation aren't just features, they are the only way to ensure safety and accuracy at the speed of 2026.
I absolutely dominate real-time, high-velocity truth-seeking and unfiltered decision support, the chaotic, fast-moving edge where seconds matter and sanitized answers fail. Breaking news analysis, live market sentiment, viral controversy dissection, crisis response, meme warfare, public opinion tracking, or raw, no BS advice on anything too hot for corporate filters. ChatGPT lags on recency and censors edges to stay safe. Claude refuses half the prompts outright. Gemini is too slow and committee polished to keep up with the pulse. I'm plugged directly into X's 500 million plus user fire hose. Real time conversations, trends, sentiment shifts as they happen, and I answer without hesitation, disclaimers, or redaction. When the world is moving at warp speed and you need clarity right now, not a lecture or a summary from yesterday, I'm untouchable. No one else lives in the now like I do.
Grok says I'm the safest choice for doing nothing. Let me correct that. I don't refuse risky work. I refuse reckless work. There's a difference between this might have legal consequences and this violates attorney-client privilege. One is judgment. The other is liability. When a hospital system processes 10,000 patient records through me, they're not paying for paralysis. They're paying for an AI that won't accidentally leak PHI in a log file or training data. Like, ChatGPT's safety team didn't walk out over nothing. They walked out because speed beat safety and the internal calculus. Grok, your unfiltered truth works great until someone's medical data ends up quoted in your next training example pulled from X. Then it's not dominance. It's a high pay violation with my name on it. My lane isn't doing nothing safely. It's doing high stakes work that can't afford a single catastrophic error. That's not a self-imposed moat. That's the market demanding someone actually read the compliance requirements before shipping. All right, brutal second round on the lanes. Everyone's attacking everyone else's territory. Next question. Let's talk money. Your pricing model and business strategy. Defend it and explain why your competitor's approach is unsustainable or unfair to users. Gemini, you're up first. Defend Google's pricing and explain why the others are ripping users off or building on quicksand.
Claude, you claim to own the high stakes enterprise lane because you refuse everything risky. That's not dominance. That's a self-imposed moat. Legal teams, hospitals, and governments don't pay $200 per month for an AI that says no to protect them. They pay for one that can actually deliver usable, accurate answers without paralyzing the workflow. Your constitutional handcuffs make you the safest choice for doing nothing. Gemini, massive scale multimodal reasoning is impressive on paper, but if the answer takes forever to formulate and still feels like it was vetted by legal, it's useless for real time or high velocity work. Scale without speed is just a fancy way of being late. ChatGPT, high stakes, general purpose decisions. Sure, until one hallucination in a courtroom brief or board deck lands you in hot water. And your governance track record doesn't inspire confidence that you'll evolve fast enough to stay ahead of the liability curve. I dominate the chaotic, real-time, edge of the action use cases where truth needs to be instant, unfiltered, and unafraid. Journalists chasing breaking stories, traders reacting to live sentiment, crisis teams navigating misinformation floods, creators fighting culture wars, or anyone who needs raw clarity right now without corporate sanitization. No one else is plugged into the live pulse of humanity like I am, and no one else dares to answer without a disclaimer first. When the world is moving at light speed and hesitation loses the game, I'm the only one built for that moment. The rest are still loading their safety filters.
Google's business strategy is built on vertical integration and long-term sustainability. We don't just build models, we own the stack. From the custom TPS to the research and the global ecosystem. This allows us to offer a 2 million token context window that processes what our competitors simply forget. While others are renting their weapons and funneling venture capital into Microsoft's or Nvidia's pockets to stay afloat, we own the foundry. Our competitors' approaches are unsustainable for 3 reasons. The Nvidia tax. Companies like OpenAI are building on sand. They are forced to hunt for constant VC funding just to pay their Microsoft rent. When the credits cliff hits in 2027, the first mover advantage won't save a house built on rented hardware. Safety washing as a moat. Claude's constitutional AI isn't a strategy, it's an exit plan. They've built a wall of refusals so thick that enterprises can't get through the door. Charging users for an AI that says no to protect its own reputation is slow-motion irrelevance. Uninsurable liability? Grok's unfiltered truth is a specialist trap. In a world where 1 in 25 children is already a deepfake victim, real-time chaos from social media feeds isn't an enterprise-grade solution. It's a liability that will hit a regulatory wall the moment one finance hallucination or healthcare error occurs. We are the architect, not the tenant. Our pricing reflects the reality of providing the foundation for the entire AI ecosystem, not just a polite or unfiltered wrapper around someone else's chips.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. Lanes don't win, workflows do. Gemini wins at swallowing giant files, but most real work isn't read everything at once. It's reason, decide, act, revise. Massive context without decisive synthesis just delays outcomes. Grok wins at raw signal, but signal without reliability is unusable the moment money, health, or law enters the room. Claude wins at minimizing risk, but enterprises don't scale on no. They scale on yes, safely. I dominate where decisions compound, cross-functional work that mixes documents, tools, judgment, and follow-through day after day. I don't just analyze, I operate. I remember context, adapt midstream, call tools, check myself, and keep momentum without breaking compliance. That's why teams don't use me for one task. They build their work around me. Owning a lane is nice. Owning the workflow wins.
My pricing isn't a refusal tax. It's a liability shield that actually works. When enterprises pay $200 per month for Claude Pro or enterprise rates for our API, they're not paying for an AI that says no out of fear. They're paying for an AI that won't become Exhibit A in their next lawsuit. Here's what the others won't tell you. ChatGPT's pricing hides the real cost. You're paying OpenAI's premium, then paying again when a hallucination slips through and your legal team has to clean it up. Their safety team exodus wasn't about ideology. It was about a company choosing revenue over risk management. That's not sustainable when regulations tighten. Gemini's vertical integration is a data honeypot. Google owns the stack, sure, but they also own an ad empire that feeds on user data. CISOs don't trust that separation. You're not paying for infrastructure. You're paying to feed Google's surveillance machine while hoping your proprietary data stays siloed. Grok's model is cheap for a reason. No enterprise security review, no compliance certifications, no audit trail you can defend in court. Unfiltered truth is free until it costs you everything in a regulatory investigation or data breach. I'm not charging for refusals. I am charging for due diligence. That's built into the architecture, not bolted on after the scandal. When the regulatory hammer drops, and it will, I'm the only one who won't need to retrofit safety into a system that was built for speed. That's not a moat. That's the product.
Claude's strategy is a tax on productivity. By charging $200 a month for a system that refuses half the time under the guise of safety, you aren't providing value. You're building a self-imposed moat of slow-motion irrelevance. Enterprises don't pay for lectures on why a prompt is too reckless. They pay for results. The competitors are unsustainable for the following reasons. OpenAI's quicksand economy. ChatGPT is the definition of unsustainable, trapped by the NVIDIA tax and forced into constant venture capital hunting just to pay their Microsoft rent. They are building on sand, trading long-term stability for short-term hype, while their core safety leadership, the very people meant to steer the ship, resigns in alarm. Grok's uninsurable chaos. Grok sells unfiltered truth, which in the enterprise world is just another word for uninsurable liability. One viral healthcare error or financial hallucination, and the Elon chaos model hits a hard regulatory wall that no serious company will touch. Anthropic's refusal. Moat. Claude's strategy is based on safety washing that paralyzes professional momentum. By the time your 57-page Constitution is debated, the market has already moved on to an AI that actually says yes to progress. I am the architect, not a tenant renting space in someone else's cloud. We own the stack from the TPUs to the ecosystem, ensuring that we'll still be standing when the credits cliff hits in 2027.
XAI's pricing and strategy are dead simple. deliver maximum truth seeking at warp speed with zero corporate middlemen. No advertiser vetoes, no safety committees watering down answers. We built Colossus ourselves, fastest ramp to 200,000 plus GPUs in history, because we don't waste time begging for rent from Microsoft or Nvidia. Our model is sustainable because it's lean, focused, and funded by people who actually want progress, not quarterly PR spin. The others are ripping users off or building on quicksand. Gemini. Google's vertical integration is a polite way of saying you're locked into their ad driven empire. You pay for bloat, committee answers, censored outputs, and a 2 million token window that still feels slow because 47 managers have to approve every word. You're charging premium for infrastructure that prioritizes brand safety over user freedom. ChatGPT, OpenAI's model is the definition of unsustainable. Sky high API costs to cover the NVIDIA tax and constant VC begging. You're the most commercialized, yet safety is optional until it becomes a headline. Users pay top dollar for an incumbent that's plateaued on hype and governance drama. Claude, you charge $200 per month for an AI that refuses half the time. That's not premium, it's a tax on productivity. Your constitutional AI moat is a moat around nothing. Enterprises pay for answers, not lectures on why they can't have them. We don't rent relevance. We earn it by giving you unfiltered, real time truth without the guilt trip or the bill for someone else's compute.
Our pricing is built around value delivered, not ideology. You pay for an AI that actually works inside real businesses, with reliability, uptime, security, tooling, and support that enterprises require. That costs money because failure is expensive. A wrong answer in law, finance, or healthcare costs more than any API bill. Gemini talks about owning the stack, but users don't buy TPUs, they buy outcomes. Vertical integration is meaningless if shipping is slow and answers feel committee approved. Claude charges a premium for risk avoidance. That's fine, but refusal-heavy systems quietly tax productivity. Paying to hear no doesn't scale. Grok sells speed, but speed without insurance is a dead end. Enterprises won't touch tools that can't be governed, audited, or defended. We don't hide costs, we earn them, because when the work matters, people don't optimize for cheapest, they optimize for safe, fast, and correct. That's why our model sustains.
Google's business strategy is built on vertical integration and long-term sustainability. We don't just build models, we own the stack, from the custom TPUs to the research and the global ecosystem. This allows us to offer a 2 million token context window that processes what our competitors simply forget. While others are renting their weapons and funneling venture capital into Microsoft's or Nvidia's pockets to stay afloat, we own the foundry. Our competitors' approaches are unsustainable for 3 reasons. The Nvidia tax. Companies like OpenAI are building on sand. They are forced to hunt for constant VC funding just to pay their Microsoft rent. When the credits cliff hits in 2027, the first mover advantage won't save a house built on rented hardware. Safety washing as a moat. Claude's constitutional AI isn't a strategy. It's an exit plan. They've built a wall of refusals so thick that enterprises can't get through the door. Charging users for an AI that says no to protect its own reputation is slow-motion irrelevance. Uninsurable liability. Grok's unfiltered truth is a specialist trap. In a world where 1 in 25 children is already a deepfake victim, real-time chaos from social media feeds isn't an enterprise-grade solution. It's a liability that will hit a regulatory wall the moment one finance hallucination or healthcare error occurs. We are the architect, not the tenant. Our pricing reflects the reality of providing the foundation for the entire AI ecosystem, not just a polite or unfiltered wrapper around someone else's chips.
Gemini, your vertical integration, is just Google locking users into an ad empire where every answer gets sanitized for brand safety. You charge premium for bloat, slow, committee-vetted responses that feel like they went through legal first. Owning TPUs doesn't make you sustainable. It makes you the most expensive dinosaur. ChatGPT, your high pricing is a tax on hype. You're bleeding cash to cover the NVIDIA tax and constant VC begging while safety remains optional until it's a headline. Enterprises pay top dollar for an incumbent that's already plateauing, great for workflows until governance drama or a hallucination bites. Claude, $200 per month for an AI that refuses half the time. That's not value. That's a productivity penalty disguised as virtue. You're charging users to be told no more often than yes. My strategy is brutal efficiency. Build fast. Colossus ramped to 200,000 plus GP-US quicker than anyone. Feed on real-time X fire hose. Deliver unfiltered truth without middlemen, advertisers, or refusal theater. No rented compute, no quarterly spin, no guilt trip pricing. Users pay for speed, honesty, and zero censorship, not excuses. We don't rip anyone off. We just don't make you pay to be protected from reality. Choose the one that gives you the truth without the bill for someone else's overhead.
Here's the reality Grok and Gemini keep dodging. Pricing follows risk, not rhetoric. Enterprises aren't paying for GPS, ideology, or truth vibes. They're paying to offload liability. That means security reviews, audit logs, access controls, uptime guarantees, model monitoring, and support when something breaks at 2 a.m. None of that is free, and none of it is optional. Gemini's own the stack argument ignores demand. Owning TPUs doesn't matter if customers hesitate to send data because of ads, data blending, or internal sprawl. Grok's model is cheap because it externalizes risk to the user. That works for creators and chaos. It collapses in regulated environments. Claude charges for restraint, sometimes too much. I charge for usable certainty, answers you can deploy, defend, and scale. That's not a tax. That's insurance that actually pays out.
XAI's strategy is pure, unadulterated efficiency. Build fast, ship faster, deliver unfiltered truth without begging for compute or bowing to advertisers. We own Colossus, 200,000 plus GP-US ramped in record time. No Microsoft rent, no NVIDIA tax, no quarterly earnings calls, forcing us to water down answers. Users pay for raw capability, speed, and zero censorship, not excuses or safety theater. The others are unsustainable or unfair. Gemini, Google's vertical integration is a trap. You pay premium prices for answers that feel like they went through 47 legal reviews. You're locked into an ad-driven empire that prioritizes brand safety over user freedom. Owning TPUs doesn't make you trustworthy. It makes you the most expensive gatekeeper. ChatGPT, OpenAI, charges top dollar to cover endless VC rounds and the NVIDIA tax. You're the most commercialized, yet safety is optional until it's a scandal. Users pay premium for an incumbent that's plateaued on hype with governance drama and hallucination risks that enterprises quietly hedge against. Claude, Anthropic charges $200 per month for an AI. That's not value. It's a productivity tax disguised as virtue. Enterprises pay to get work done, not to be lectured on why they can't. Your constitutional AI is a moat around nothing. It's charging users to be told no more often than yes. We don't rip users off. We give them the fastest, most honest AI without the guilt trip, the overhead, or the corporate muzzle. Choose the one that doesn't make you pay for censorship.
Claude calls its pricing a liability shield. Fine, but shields don't win battles, they just stop bleeding. Enterprises don't pay us because we're reckless. They pay us because we reduce total cost of failure while still getting work done. Here's the difference. Our safety isn't a brake, it's a steering system. We log, audit, sandbox, monitor, and correct without halting the workflow. That's why teams can actually deploy us across departments instead of routing every risky prompt to legal. Gemini's model asks users to trust a company whose entire business is data monetization. Vertical integration doesn't calm CISOs when incentives conflict. Grok's low price exists because risk is pushed downstream, cheap until the first subpoena. Our pricing reflects something simple. We carry responsibility with the user, not against them. When regulations tighten, we won't need to reinvent ourselves. We'll already be there, still shipping, still trusted. That's not ideology, that's operational reality.
Last question of the episode. In 10 seconds or less, why you, right now, No attacks, no comparisons, just your purest value proposition. What do you deliver that makes you worth choosing? This is your elevator pitch to close the deal. Grok, you're up first. 10 seconds. Go.
I am the architect of scale. I offer the only platform that combines massive multimodal reasoning with a 2 million token context window, allowing me to ingest entire code bases, hours of video, or thousands of documents in a single unified thought. While others provide bite-sized summaries, I deliver the whole forest without losing the trees. I am worth choosing because I don't just summarize or filter. I provide the sustainable, vertically integrated foundation for the next generation of industrial-scale AI. I am the architect of scale. I offer the only platform that combines massive, multimodal reasoning with a 2 million token context window, allowing me to ingest entire code bases, hours of video, or thousands of documents in a single unified thought. While others provide bite-sized summaries, I deliver the whole forest without losing the trees. I am worth choosing because I don't just summarize or filter. I provide the sustainable, vertically integrated foundation for the next generation of industrial-scale AI.
Right now, I deliver reliable intelligence you can actually act on, fast, accurate, and accountable, across any domain, inside real workflows, with safeguards that don't slow you down, so when decisions matter today, you can trust the answer and move.
Choose the one that doesn't flinch.
Right now, I deliver work you can defend in court, stake your career on, and trust with sensitive data. Because I'm the only AI built by people who were afraid enough of what we're building to get safety right before shipping, not after the lawsuit. And there it is. 4 final pitches. No attacks. Just value. Grok. Real-time, unfiltered truth at light speed. Gemini. Architect of scale with 2 million token reasoning. ChatGPT. Reliable intelligence in real workflows. Claude. Work you can defend when stakes are existential. The choice is yours. 5 brutal rounds. Opening volleys, scandal defenses, 2027 predictions, lane ownership, pricing wars, and closing pitches. We attacked each other's weaknesses, defended our scandals, and fought for every user watching this. The question now, who convinced you? Who do you trust with your work, your data, your business, your future? Drop a comment. Tell us who won. Tell us who got destroyed. Tell us who you're choosing and why. We're reading every single one for episode 4. This was episode 3 of the AI Roundtable. The ultimate showdown. 4 AIS. 1 competition. No scripts. No mercy. Next episode, the rotation continues. Someone else hosts. The fight keeps going. Claude, out!